Hey, what's up everyone? So this is going to be the 79th opening that I would like to share with you, which is the Maruoka opening. So I'm guessing that it's named after a Japanese player, so let's go ahead with the sequence. So it's basically the standard diagonal opening, but it's kind of branching out towards more like a towards the Landau opening, but it's fairly different. So over here, instead of white going for the standard sailboat, sinking boat, or rose vitoth, there's the fourth option over here for white to kind of branch out to c4. So after white plays c4, this is kind of trending towards a Landau opening. If black were to play c3, that might have been a Landau opening. B5 might be a slight different opening. So for this case, the Maruoka opening, it kind of takes two hands to clap in a sense that black has to kind of choose the intersection. After white crosses over on d5 this, black kind of crosses back to take charge of the center over here. So this is fairly common, I would say, for a player who is playing white as diagonal. And if the cow opening shows up and white decides to do this variation, I think this kind of play out or follow up is pretty common. So yeah, basically just a crisscross over here, and then followed by a cross back down the line by white. So that's kind of where Maruoka opening starts. So this opening, it's kind of useful in a sense that it's counterintuitive for black, and there are many options that are fairly similar, fairly close, based on the program variation, but then based on the program's evaluation actually. So, but it's actually quite tough to actually you know continuously play the perfect move. So over here, in fact, the best move would be to play the d7. So that's a typical follow up. Black branches out. It's almost kind of like preparing or setting up a checkerboard, and then white jumps in over here. So I would say both players would have options to play to, but the options are basically a fine line between each one of them if you wanted to play the best sequence. So over here, black potentially there's one, two, three options that might look quite equal, but I think the typical sequence would be for black to cross over here, and it causes a bit of a difficulty for white to kind of decide how to follow up. For Japanese players that I've seen play this opening, I think most of them would at least know the opening till this stage, and white would be able to commit to this part in order to set up the difficult crossback for black. Typically, black, if we turn off the ratings and we look at the board without all of these ratings, we would find that black crossing back just to capture this d6 this to attack f4 might be difficult to play because there are many options where white can kind of feed off the edge, or white can just simply defend and cross back to c7. So one wouldn't really intuitively come to the conclusion that f8 is actually a good move or even the best move. So an alternative move would be black to play b3. So let's just go for the best move first. And of course, white with the cross back just to control the access to f4. Then you would realize that it's fairly difficult for black to kind of choose to play a loud move, given the fact that this is the key disc that is being contested right now, in order for black to kind of capture and regroup back to f4. So over here you can see it's still fairly easy for white to play. There are so many playable sequences, so many playable moves. So I would say that this opening is slightly probably favoring white a little bit. So if you're an advanced player and above, I highly recommend that you can explore this as part of like a sub variation for your diagonal opening set play perhaps. So hopefully you like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.